feels good to be back at the old place. I know I've only been away for a week, but honestly it felt like a very, very long time out of the Liverpool loop. So I'm very pleased to be back in the Liverpool loop. Just finished watching them run through their open training session. They're in great spirits as always. There's a big test coming up against PSG and it looks like they're ready for it. One note of caution, Cody Gakpo wasn't in training this afternoon. We will have to wait and see exactly what that means for his participation in the game tomorrow. But everybody else you would expect to see was there. No Conor Bradley or Joe Gomez, is still a bit soon for them, but everybody else you would like to see was there, ready and training. Wasn't really many major hints in terms of how they were training, but I'm sure we'll be hearing from Arne Slot later on this evening and he'll tell us all exactly what we need to know ahead of this big game.
Well, hello there. Long time no see. How are you doing? I'm a little bit better. Thanks for asking. I've had my week off. Liverpool have had their weekend off. And I think we're all just about ready to get back to proper football now, aren't we? Arne Slot had his pre-match press conference ahead of the game against PSG in the Champions League, and that means I'm here with another press conference review. You've seen some of the dispatches from what happened this morning at the open training session, and we should probably start right there because obviously there was some consternation around Cody Gakpo and his absence, and Arne Slot was able to elaborate on exactly what has happened. The good news is that Cody is in France, so he does have a chance to make the squad. Apparently in training there was a bit of a block tackle and it caused him a bit of pain, and that's why he missed out on training this morning. But there is a chance that he will train ahead of the game tomorrow and still has a chance of being part of the squad. So it's certainly not any kind of long-term setback or anything like that. We'll have to wait and see whether or not he's involved. My suspicion is that it rules him out of a starting spot. Whether it rules him out entirely of the squad, we'll have to wait and see. But this is a massive game. Let's not get it any twisted like that. Liverpool have arguably been very unlucky in terms of who they've drawn in this Champions League. But the familiar maxim is true. If you want to be the best, you've got to beat the best. And right now, PSG represent as close to the best as you can get at this stage of the competition. So Liverpool have got to beat them. And you know what? Liverpool can beat them. But it's time to go into my top 3 takeaways, and one of them is kind of following on from that message. Top takeaway number 1, there are no farmers to be found around here. So Ligue Un has been long disrespected by lots of people within football. The classic Farmers League shout goes out to them more than it goes out to anyone else. Something that always drives me insane when you consider not only the quality of the French national team, but how many quality footballers start their careers in the French league and then go on to greater things. So they can't all be full of mugs. And this season really bears that out. If you look at the Champions League knockout phase, England and France were the only two teams that had the only two countries that had 4 different teams working within the knockouts. Obviously, one of the French teams got knocked out by another French team, Brest again beaten by PSG. Monaco fought Benfica really, really close. And then we know how good Lille are. We took a very, very, very good performance from Liverpool to beat them at Anfield. And then, of course, there's PSG. So this idea that there is no quality teams in France and that the PSG have only got to turn up week in, week out, year in, year out and walk their league, I just don't think it really holds up any longer. Because, yes, PSG are doing very well in their league. But that's because PSG are a very good team. I believe their lead at the top is very similar to Liverpool's lead at the top. So what does that say about the rest of the Premier League? It says that there are 2 teams at the moment who are doing very, very well in those leagues, but there are plenty of other teams in there who can give you a run for your money. I would add Lyon to that as well, who have done very well in the Europa League this season. So there are plenty of teams who can give you a test out there in Ligue 1, and I don't think there's anyone in Liverpool who will be underestimating PSG. The interesting thing for me is how many similarities Arne Slot mentioned between PSG and Liverpool, not just in terms of, as I was saying, the dominance of their league, but in the way that they want to play football. Both teams like to like to have high ball possession. They're very aggressive without the ball, like a lot of pressing. Whereas PSG might go man to man, Liverpool tend to be a little bit more structured in their press. But it was interesting to note that Arne Slot said that there are 6 or 7 different things that he could name, which both teams tried to do the same. Now, it was notable that no, he did not name them, but he will know what they are, and it will be very, very interesting to see how Liverpool match up against them. Top takeaway number 2. That FA Cup defeat is looking better every week. Now, one of the things about Liverpool having this free weekend is because they got knocked out of the FA Cup by Plymouth. Plymouth, who absolutely did not disgrace themselves at the Etihad, but also saved us from another trip of going to the Etihad, which, as easy and fantastic as it was to win there in the league, the idea of having to face them twice in a short space of time would have been a bit But not only is the Liverpool not being in the FA Cup good for that reason, the main reason it's good is because it gives Slot and his players not only a bit of rest, but a bit of preparation time. Now, I mentioned how similar the two teams have been in calling to Arne Slot in terms of what the way they want to play football. So it will be a fascinating matchup tactically to see how Arne Slot deals with a team that's very similar to his own. Whether or not he's going to be giving other teams a blueprint for how to stop Liverpool, we'll have to wait and see. But the point is that he flagged up that when PSG played against Arsenal, they did things slightly differently to how they normally were. They weren't quite as aggressive in their pressing. They kind of sat back in certain areas and gave Arsenal a little bit more time and space for which to try and hurt them. But again, if you look at Arsenal's attacking play and attacking prowess, even back then when they still had Saka and Martinelli and Havertz, I think Liverpool are in a different league. So whether or not they'll go about things the same as they did there is, I'm not 100% sure, but the point is that they have flexibility. They have the ability to do more than just one thing. And Arne Slot, as we've seen so many times this season, has been obsessed with the idea of running through all of the different scenarios, giving his team as much information as possible ahead of the game of how things could go. And again, having more time to work on the training pitch, more time to sit down and talk to individuals in one-on-ones and in more team meetings and positional team meetings gives them so much more time, ammunition to be able to work through all of those different potential scenarios. So when it comes to the game, Liverpool are very unlikely to be shocked or surprised or caught on the hop by something that PSG do. Now, these are still very good players, so they have the ability to surprise you at any one time. But having that extra time to not only rest, but also to game plan, hopefully will really pay off for Arne and his team. Top takeaway number 3. What Liverpool have done so far means nothing. Now, Slot was asked about another manager calling Liverpool one of the best teams in Europe right now. Luis Enrique was the one this time, to add to Thomas Frank and many others who've said it previously this season. And when Slot's been asked this question previously, he's normally made a point of talking about whoever it was who said it, the manager, and how much respect he has for them as a manager and their opinion, etc., and saying, well, obviously Thomas Frank's a great guy, so, you know, if he says that, then I respect his opinion, blah, blah, blah. But there was none of that this time. Absolutely no quarter given to any of this kind of chat. Slot was very direct and very to the point when he said, the best team in Europe are the ones who win the Champions League. So Real Madrid are currently the holders. They're the best team in Europe. And what does that tell you? That tells you that everything Liverpool have done up to this point is all well and good, but it hasn't won you anything. It hasn't got you anywhere yet. The business end, the winning trophies part, that starts here and now. So as much as you can take confidence from playing well in that early part of the season, don't feel like you've won anything. Don't feel like you've done anything yet. Everything that you need to do to get those trophies in the cabinet starts here and now. And to be honest, I don't feel like this is a squad who overly needs to hear that message. It's the kind of squad who already understands that message implicitly. I think this is probably more a message that he's putting out to the world, that Liverpool aren't going to be resting on any laurels. Liverpool aren't going to be lapping up the praise of everybody just because we did great in the group stages, just because we beat Real Madrid, just because we're currently top of the Premier League. All of those things are good, but they aren't definitive. What is definitive is going out there and putting out a performance against PSG that can hopefully either win the home leg, the away leg, or at least not lose it in a way that Liverpool can come take them back to Anfield and then do the job there. And I love this from Arne Slot. I really do. I think that this is exactly the kind of attitude that we need to see from him. Let's not forget he doesn't have a massive amount of experience in the Champions League. When he was there with Feyenoord, they didn't get out of the group stages. And yes, Feyenoord did get to the latter stages of a European competition, but that was the Europa League. So this is really his first crack at the big time, if you call it that way. And once again, it looks like it was to the manner born. It looks like it's exactly what he wants, exactly what he can handle. And he's speaking about it in exactly the right way, as far as I'm concerned. So there you have it. That was today's press conference review. Short and sweet. I'm sure you'll enjoy for a change. There are still plenty of things for me to tell you about. We've got the Anfield Wrap shows coming up. I've had another late challenge earlier this week. You can go and check that out elsewhere on YouTube. I've got a new This Is Anfield column coming out later this week about Harvey Elliott. And no, it's not about his dad. It's actually about Harvey Elliott. And then we've got the US tour. The US tour is coming very, very soon. Just a matter of weeks away. I will be in Boston, I will be in New York, and I will be in Philadelphia talking about the Reds. Hopefully having already seen them secure one trophy this season and looking to get another couple. So if you are in the East Coast of America over the course of the next couple of weeks, come out and see me, come and say hi. I will very much enjoy seeing all you out there. For everyone else, we'll be doing this all over again on Friday ahead of Southampton. See you then.